to get us started. So I have Kolawole Akinboye joining us today. Kola, say hi.
Hi, everyone.
Okay. So Kolawole Akinboye works as the country manager, Nigeria, for Western Solar, which is a commercial and industrial solar venture in West Africa, launched as a collaboration between RP Global and Olu Solar. RP Global, like we know, is an independent power producer, and Olu Solar is for-profit social impact. So they're focusing more on renewable energy. And Kolawole right now is a country manager driving the project through Western Solar. Previously, Kolawole has worked in various leadership and management roles at Intercontinental Bank, MTN, Flour Mills, Total, and Rensource Energy. He studied electrical engineering from the University of Ilorin and has a Master's of Business degree from the premier Lagos Business School, which is an affiliate of Pan-African University, where he graduated as a Beta Gamma Sigma scholar. Good job, Kolawole. And was the first Nigerian ambassador for the Global Network for Advanced Management. He has also attended courses at Technoi, Israel Institute of Technology, and the University in the US. He's a member of the Nigerian Society of Engineers and Association of Energy Engineering. He's also a certified energy manager and a project management professional from the Project Management Institute. Well, that's a lot, but thank you for getting on this conversation. Okay?
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Awesome. Next, we have Bimbo Onola. Is the founder and lead consultant of Leap and Tar, a research-based professional services firm with expertise in strategy, management consulting, and international development. Leap and Tar generates insight for management decisions, evidence-based policy making, and development. As a core focus area for and Tar, they do more of infrastructure development and sustainability. In his previous roles covering 2 decades in Woli and KPMG, Bimbo has held senior management roles covering West African countries and provided advisory services, strategy and planning, management consulting, policy development, delivery, project management, finance, and a number of other critical functions. Bimbo holds his MBA from the University of Lagos, a BSc in Chemical Engineering from Obafemi Awolowo University, and is currently concluding in International Public Policy from Queen Mary University of London in the UK. He also holds a postgraduate certificate in project finance from Middlesex University. He's an alumnus of Pennsylvania. Bimbo is a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, is an FCA, a certified global professional in human resources, a project management professional. Thank you so much, Bimbo, for joining us.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you for me.
Yes, fantastic. And finally, we have Dr. Sanusi Ohiere. He's a Nigerian rural energy development expert, a fantastic public servant. He is the current executive director of the Rural Electrification Fund and board member of the Rural Electrification Agency, who was appointed by the President Muhammad Buhari in April 2017. Now, just a bit of background into what the Rural Electrification Agency is all about. So the Rural Electrification Agency is set up under the Ministry of Power, Works and Housing in Nigeria with the objective of promoting, providing and supporting rural electrification initiatives across the country through public and private partnerships, where it has been recorded that thousands have benefited from the agency's executed programs. So it's deliberate that we have you guys from the private sector here, also with Dr. Sanusi joining us, because a lot of the or development of the energy conversations will come through public-private partnerships. And I'm so happy Dr. Manusi made out the time to join us because his agency is strategic to drive that. In 2021, it was published among the Nigeria's 10 under 50 leaders in public service, alongside the managing director and chief executive officer of the Renewable Energy Agency, Mr. Ahmed. Mr. Ahmed, how you doing? It was also the global finalist, was one of the global finalists, Professional Achievement Award of 2020, which was organized by the British Council. Is one of the young leaders of 2020, is a young leader of the 2020 Our Energy and Water Industry Awards. Is also, as young as he holds a traditional title of Akiliwo Ije, meaning the strength of the king. So I'm hoping, Dr. Zanti, that I called that right. By the Ije of Olamoboro, side, I'll be using a bad accent, but it's okay. Okay. It's Royal Highness Uja Simeon Sani. So thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining this call. Thank you, Dr. Sanusi. Thank you, Kolawole.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yes. And I have Debo. Debo is definitely is crazy passionate about this topic because this is his industry. Having spent time in Total and now doing a lot of energy in the US. So Debo is going to be supporting me in the conversations and it's going to be driving a lot of it. I will just make sure that we keep the conversation relevant to the audience, easy to digest and process, and also to activate some sort of directions on investments or what have you. Okay, so thank you once again. Debo.
Thank you, Fumi. Let's get the ball rolling. Good introduction and a well-balanced panel that we have here. Let's start with definition. Let's get the concept right. I know, of course, most of the participants, both on YouTube and Zoom, are in energy space, so they understand what we're talking about, but there are some that are not necessarily in the industry. So when we talk about energy transition, what do we mean? And I would like to start with Bimbo just to lay the foundation. Let's set the expectation. What is energy transition from your view?
Yeah, thank you very much, Debo, for that question. And I will try to make it as simple as possible so that everyone that's on this call can understand. There are a lot of technical terms that we may use, but I'll make it as simple as possible. Energy transition basically is an agenda of in the energy world. It's a change. It's a gradual change that is going on in the energy world, and its goal is to transition from the current use, the way we capture energy, the way we store energy, the way we use energy, the way we consume energy and produce and consume energy, to a new way of using energy. And it's the focus is essentially to move from where we are now, which is essentially fossil fuel based, to a mix of renewable energies. And a number of things are responsible for that. But before I go into what's responsible for the change, there are a few misconceptions about energy transition, and I will try and touch on that. So when you look at energy transition, when somebody says energy transition, what reaction do you see with people? Is either their reaction is, look, it's not possible. It's just not going to happen. Or their reaction is, oh, it's going to happen overnight. For me, from my experience working in the energy industry for over a decade now, I think I disagree with both angles. At the moment, I disagree with both angles. I would rather go the middle ground, which is saying, look, it's possible, but we are transiting to a future energy mix that is different from what we have today. And nobody should be afraid of what the future holds if we are ready to embrace the future, if we are prepared for that future. And to start with, I must apologize, my screen may be showing my company name in reverse. It's a technical issue. Please forgive that. So talking about what the history has been in the world of energy, you realize that there was a time that in the 17th century, in the 18th century, that the major source of energy has been the renewables. wood, for cooking, for making fire and generating heat, and for developing different things that were done then. Then it moved to coal. Coal became the main source of energy in the 18th century. There was that switch. The Industrial Revolution started, and the coal became the next major source of energy. But here came the 19th century. Oil was discovered, and with that came the internal combustion engine. With that came the aviation industry, and oil became the mainstay. The revolution in the industries, the manufacturing sector, oil became the main source of energy all over the world. And it's been like that for quite a century now, for over a century now. But there are questions to say, okay, what is the future? What does the future hold? Is oil going to be here forever? What happens when we don't have oil? Besides that, what is the effect of oil on the environment? And all of these are responsible for what we are seeing in the energy transition today. And don't forget, the fact that we are looking at energy transition doesn't mean that oil must end before we start looking for a transition, for a change. And if I may quote a popular saying that was attributed to Sheikh Yamani, the former minister of oil in Saudi Arabia. Sheikh Yamani was quoted to have said that the Stone Age did not end for lack of stone, and the oil age will end long before the world runs out of oil. So what does that tell us? If Saudi Arabia is the leading producer and exporter of oil, and the minister in charge of oil has this to say, I mean, this says a lot. This speaks volumes. This speaks volumes. And if I may go into what is responsible for the mix, the transition that we are seeing now, there are two major factors responsible for the transition. One major factor is the environment. We all know that we use energy for electricity to power our homes and offices, for transportation. The aviation industry needs energy, the cars, the train, they all need energy to be able to power the engines. The manufacturing industries as well. Then we have the domestic use, cooking, for heating our homes and all of that. And currently, if we look at the state of energy, the mix, the use of fossil fuel constitutes over 60% globally. In the US alone, it's about 70%. Last I checked with, I think it was about 67% just from fossil fuel alone. So if you come to Nigeria, you can imagine what it is. It's almost 90%, if not more. But the data is scanty. We don't really have that. But when you look at the impact of all of this on the environment, you have to ask questions. It's been reported that in the past century now, the rate of annual increase in global warming is going in a way that, if not arrested, we're going to have massive effects of greenhouse gas effects on the earth. I mean, pre-industrial era used to be about 1.1% degrees Celsius, 1.1 degrees Celsius rise on an annual basis. But since the past century, when oil, the fossil fuel, became the major source of energy, we've seen the rise has been about 1.5 degrees Celsius on an annual basis. And we can see the effects, the global warming, the changing effects on the climate. We can see the effects of the greenhouse gas emissions in flooding, the rise in flooding, the rise in ocean levels across the world. Even here in Lagos, in Nigeria, we can see the impact on the flooding that we see almost regularly these days, the rising level of the ocean. All of these have been attributed to the way we use the oil, the fossil fuel, as a main source of energy. And the drive is to say, look, what do we need to do? We need to take responsibility. We need to be responsible to move away from this effect of the greenhouse effects, the greenhouse gas effects on the environment. So this is one major driver. This is one major driver. And if you're going to drill down into this, several actions have been taken. Look at the Sustainable Development Goals alone. Out of 17 Sustainable Development Goals, I can trace 6 directly linked to environmental effects, environmental factors, trying to address the environmental issues. 6, goal 6, goal 7, goal 11, goal 12, goal 13, goal 15, they are all on environment. The goal 6 talks about clean water and sanitation. Goal 7 talks about affordable and clean energy. Goal 11 talks about sustainable cities and communities. Goal 12 talks about responsible consumption and production of energy. Goal 13 talks about climate action. And goal 15 talks about life on land. All of these are driven to be sure that we leave the world better than we met it, or at least not worse than we met it. And with the continued predominance of fossil fuel as the only or major source of energy in the world, this is going to continue. It's going to deteriorate. It's going to get worse. And this is one of the reasons why the drive for energy mix is very important. The second reason I may talk about now is the economic reasons. There are reasons to look at the impact, the cost of depending on one source of energy. You depend on one source of energy. Right now in Nigeria, we know what's going on. We don't have power available to majority of people. Now, if this is the case, is that the way we want to be? So why don't we look for other alternatives? That's just even the basic, just looking at it from layman perspective. But when you now look at the impact on the demand and supply, the effect on the economy, the effect on the industries, the effect on businesses, you realize that if we don't find a mix to increase access to energy, we are just, I don't want to use the wrong word, but it's a matter of when, it's not a matter of if. Things will not continue like this. We need to shift away from one source of energy to multiple mix of energy. And because of the environment and the benefits that come from having an energy mix, having more sources of energy, you can to reduce the dependence on fossil fuel. It just makes sense. There's an urgent case. There's a case for us to go towards energy transition. And this is my take on energy transition. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Bimbo, for the well-articulated introduction. I think you touched on some points that we will discuss further down the line in our meeting for today. And for me,